Okay guys, it's time now for me to finish the crown molding up around the top of the cabinets here. I think this is going to make a huge difference in the look of the cabinets and the finished look of the kitchen. Obviously, it's something that a lot of you guys have been asking about for a long time. Well, here we go. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free. And you know, when we bought these cabinets, we got these from Lowe's, custom ordered from Lowe's. It came with crown molding and it goes around the top. And the crown molding matches the cabinets with the highlight colored in here and all that kind of stuff. So, when did I do these cabinets? 3 years ago, I think. So those moldings that came with it have been knocking around in my shed and in my way for 3 years. So I'm really excited to get this finished. I think it's going to look great. I'm also really excited to get those molding pieces out of my shed. Yeah. All right. Excited to finish this up. You know, we leave our Florida home in the summer and come up here to Virginia because Florida is just too hot in the summer. We love it down there, but we just can't do that. So here I am up here in Virginia, and the Florida weather has followed us up here. It's very humid right now. Yesterday it was 96 degrees. It's supposed to be between 96 and 98 degrees the whole rest of the week. And right now it's 8:30 and I'm already feeling the heat building and the humidity. So fortunately, you know, down in Florida, this kind of heat lasts all summer, but fortunately up here in Virginia, when it happens, it usually only lasts for a few days or a week. So next week it's supposed to cool down into the low 80s again. So in the meantime, this week when I'm working on here, of course I have air conditioning inside, so that's not a problem. But I do have to come out here in the heat to make these cuts because I'm not going to do this and put sawdust all over the kitchen. So I'll probably only be working on this in the mornings. Once it gets hot, I'll go in and do something else. Now this piece goes right here, but there's a little bit of a tab, I guess, call it. This comes out further than that, and I need to cut that off so that this will sit flush. Right now there's a little bit of a gap right there. So fortunately I have my oscillating saw that I just bought for the last video you saw, and that'll be perfect to cut this off. Okay, perfect. Just a tiny little bit of a gap right there, and cut this a little too low. I can just caulk that when I'm done and you won't even notice it. So I'm having a little bit of a challenge trying to figure out how to attach this up here. I've never done this particular application before, and many times in construction work it's just a matter of figuring it out as you go. So I can't, there's no room up here to get a nail gun or a nail or a screw or anything to go up this way. So I have to go up from underneath with the nail gun through here. So I tried that, and my longest nail was 1.5 inches that goes into the nail gun, and it didn't quite reach. It's right there. It didn't quite reach the back of here. So I went to Lowe's and I bought now I had a 1.5. I went to Lowe's and I bought a 2.5-inch nail because that would reach up in, it's going through there and up into this. I got home and discovered that my nail gun will not fit a 2.5-inch nail. So frustrating. So I had to go back to Lowe's, replace that, or return that, and I got a 2-inch nail, which is the largest that this will hold. So when I put this in here, I don't know how much of that nail is actually going to go up into here. I think it'll be enough to hold it in place, but I don't know how solid it'll be. So I'm actually going to glue this so that it'll be a lot more solid. So hopefully the nails will be enough to hold it in place until the glue dries. All right, yeah, that held. Good. Yeah, that'll work. So when you work on moldings up here on the ceiling, you really have to have your head engaged because basically all the angles are upside down and backwards. You really have to concentrate. This is a 45-degree angle here, so I had to cut my piece at 22.5 in order to fit in there at the right angle. It looks like that's going to fit. It's the right angle, right length. There's no way I can nail this joint together because I'd have to do it from the back side. So that's why I put glue in there. Hopefully that'll just harden up, be all right. And then I'll caulk in that little crack there once it's dry, once the glue's dry. So as I continue to work my way around the kitchen, putting up this molding, I cut this piece and I discovered a major problem. I don't know how this happened. When I put this up here, I discovered that somehow when I installed these cabinets a couple years ago, I installed this side over here about 3/4 of an inch lower than the ones over here. You can see the gap up here in the ceiling, and over here it's about 3/4 of an inch larger. So I have three options. I could leave it as it is, but I don't know if you can see from the camera, but when you compare this with this, it's obviously way off and it just looks really bad. The best option would be for me to completely empty out these cabinets over here, uninstall them, and reinstall them 3/4 of an inch higher. But that's a lot of work. I got to do the microwave and all that kind of stuff just to move it up 3/4 of an inch. That would be the best, but I just don't want to get into all of that. So the other option is to put in a spacer right here. So I cut this little piece. It's going to go right under here. And then of course it'll be painted white. And that doesn't look the same as here as far as the spacing, the distance. But I really don't think that's going to be all that noticeable because it's up at the ceiling and most people don't look at the ceiling. And even just at a glance, I mean, I'll know it's there, Elizabeth will know it's there, but looking at it as a glance, not many people are going to see the difference between this spacing and this spacing. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to do this 3/4 inch board spacer all the way around that whole side. Of course, I'll paint that, like I said. I don't know what else to do. I still don't know why or how I ended up with this side 3/4 of an inch lower than the other side. Okay, so now I got this spacer painted. Goes in there like that. I think that looks pretty good actually. So now I got to nail a spacer to the bottom of the board. Okay, so this is now the next morning, and last night when I nailed these in place, I nailed them up, of course, from underneath here, but the nail was a little bit further back, and these, they rocked back. They stayed in place, but if I pushed the top, they would rock back. But I glued along the bottom, and I glued in between these joints. Now the next day, the glue is solid, and these don't move anywhere, so I'm very happy with that. There are a few little gaps here, as I've mentioned, that a little bit of caulk will take care of. Okay, so now I have this top part around here finished, and it's ready to go for the next step. So when I first started working on this, Elizabeth wasn't here, and she came in part of the way through and she saw that and she said, "I'm confused. I thought that it was supposed to be a fancy molding up on top, and that's just flat." And yeah, well, that's just the base. This is the fancy molding. The crown mold goes right up here, and without this, there's nothing to attach that to. And also, if there was, then there would still be a gap up top. So that closes it up very nicely. Now there's a bit of a bow in the ceiling. I think there's a rafter here that's lower than all the others, and that creates a bow right there. So I nailed that in, hopefully strong enough that it'll hold it while I push this up, bow this up against the ceiling to close that gap. Looks like this is going to work okay. Takes a lot of nails because there's a bit of stress on that. Still didn't close it up completely, but it's close enough. Okay, so up here, this molding is in the way. This isn't the actual piece, this is just a scrap. But I gotta put that up there. I'm gonna have to cut that molding out of the way. I'm not going to be able to follow this contour, this curved contour, because the blade is just going to make a straight cut, and then I'll just have to try to caulk it or whatever I can to make it look as good as possible. So once again, I'll be using this oscillating saw to cut that off. This isn't necessarily going to be a pretty cut here. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, this piece is just a hair too long, but yeah, I'll just have to caulk that. That'll be fine. Let me trim just a shave off right there so this joint matches up. Okay, I trimmed just a little bit off this bottom edge. Yeah, that's good. Tiny little bit of caulk in this joint and then a little bit over there, and we'll be good. Now these angles right here are really difficult. You really have to have your mind engaged when you do this, because you literally have to cut them upside down and backwards on the saw. You have to hold it up here, and I actually draw a line of which way this angle goes and which way this angle goes, because it's easy to get this one going that way or something. So you draw it out, angle here, and then you have to play around on the saw table or on the chop saw until you get it the right angle. This is a really difficult thing for a new carpenter when they first start out, if they're assigned this. But you know, I've done this before, so I'm good. The pressure is really on with making these cuts, because this is a very special molding that came with the cabinets, and if I make a wrong cut, they sent me 3 pieces, I think 10-foot pieces or 8-foot pieces, I don't know, and it's going to take 2.5 pieces to go around. So if I make a wrong cut, then I don't have enough. I don't know where I would get more of this. Go back to Lowe's and try to order it to match this, I don't know. So the pressure is really on to not make any mistakes. So I checked this one, drew it all out on the board and everything twice, and I put it in the saw, and I was just about to hit the button to start the saw and realized that I was wrong. So I did it a 3rd time and changed it, and now fortunately this time I am correct. That was a close call. Somebody asked me when I did the moldings why I didn't use putty on these. This is a tiny little brad nail with a tiny little head, and it doesn't countersink, it's just flush. So all I have to do is just come by with a little touch of paint to cover that. I don't have to put any putty on it, countersink it, or anything like that. Okay, so now that I have all of this molding done all the way around, it's time for me to build a mug rack here. We have many, many commemorative mugs from all the different places that we've traveled all over the world, literally. And this will give me an opportunity to display just a few of them. No way I could fit them all up there. But and it'll also tie this all together and make it look like it was supposed to be that way, like it was designed that way. So I've got these rows of mug hooks right here. They're going to go up there. Now, I got to get them as far back as I can. I want to try to fit 3 rows here, but I don't want to get it so far back that we can't get this up behind it. So this will hang there like that. Just want to make sure we can get this up behind it, about there. I'm going to call that 5 inches from the wall. So I measure out 5 inches from the wall and put that first one there. That's the distance away. And then I want to make sure that I get these spaced correctly. About like that. So it looks like each one of these is also 5 inches apart. So the distance from the wall is, yeah. Okay, I made this first one 6 inches and then 5 and 5. So the distance from the wall is 16 inches. So then when I look here from the wall out 16 inches, that's out here. That'll be fine, it'll stick out past. I just didn't want it to come out so far that it blocks the light from getting down onto the counter. But yeah, 16 inches will be fine. The light can still get past there. Okay, so now I've built this rack here out of wood. It's not put together yet, it's just sitting there. And these aren't long enough, obviously. I have to match them up. But if I would go like that and put them in there, screw them in there, then these are too close for mugs. So, and I also want to make sure this is the same distance as that. So if I cut this one off right there, and then it would look like that. So this distance will be the same distance as that one. And then for the next row, I'm only putting one in like this, and that is staggered between these two. And then this row will go like the first one, so it matches up with this. So these are staggered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 14. So I'll get 14 cups up hanging up here. So the first thing I have to do is figure out exactly where to cut these off. And then I also have to cut off the end right there. Okay, so now I'm going to start gluing and nailing all of this together. I'm going to put a paper towel underneath just to protect the countertop from any glue that might dribble. Doesn't take much glue, just a few drops. You know, I hear comments from you guys all the time that I'm a very talented handyman. I appreciate that, but no, I'm not really. For one thing, I'm not a handyman, I'm a contractor. I've been a contractor for many decades, for most of my life, and there is a difference. But anyway, as far as me being talented, not really. Any competent contractor can do what I can do. I'm a competent contractor, but I'm not particularly talented. I even make mistakes every once in a while. Like this, I just made this mistake. This is too short. When I measured this, I designed it so that this piece would be on the end like that, and there'd be one at the other side. So I measured that distance, and then I subtracted 1.5 inches for the 3/4 here and 3/4 there. And then when I put it together, instead of putting it like that, I put it up here. These should have been longer. Anyway, I just royally messed it up. So now here's what I've got. I'm going to put it up here. It's too short. Very frustrating. So I have two options. One is I can just start all over again, which means not only wasting a lot of time, but it means wasting this wood. I would have to go buy more wood and completely start over again. So instead, I'm just going to put 2 extra pieces right there like that to fill in the gap here. I was very frustrated when this first happened. Kind of took the wind out of my sails. I had to go sit down for a while. But now I think I've figured out this solution. And back here. Now I need to make sure that I'm going to have enough room that these are far enough apart. So this will be hanging right there on that hook. This one will be hanging centered on that hook. Make sure there's enough room here. All right, I'm going to make them 5 inches. And this one, oops, that's the wrong one. This one, like I said earlier, will be split. This will be in between those two. And this one will also be 5 inches. Okay. Before I nail that in place, I want to make sure there's enough room to slide these up behind there. Oh yeah, all kinds of room. No trouble at all. Just like that. That's going to work. Okay, I think it's finished. I need to touch up a little bit of paint right there where I put in some shims. But other than that, I think it's done. Bahamas, Key West, Arizona, I'm not sure where this is from. It's got a mermaid. Let the waves hit your feet and the sand be your seat. You remember where that was from?
Destin.
Destin. It doesn't say Destin anywhere. Destin, Florida. Riviera Maya. It's in Mexico. Sometimes the logo's on the wrong side. I'd have to hang that this way to see it. Banff, Canada. Bryce Canyon. Live simple, live free. Here's another big one from Arizona. Very cool. I'll have to dig up, oh here's one, Thrive Life. I'll have to dig up a couple more. We got lots. Now in a previous video you may remember I did this and all of this molding. I couldn't do this one piece because I didn't have this in place yet because I didn't know how long this piece would be. So now that this is in place, I can go ahead and put this up there and finish it up. Well, dear, it's been, what, 3 years since I started this?
Oh.
And it's finished. So, what do you think?
Oh, it's gorgeous. I absolutely it's just so classy looking having the crown molding. I love the cup holder, and I love how that now the whole kitchen's tied together. It doesn't look like we just forgot to put in a cabinet, but it's deliberate and it's been tied together, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful.
Right. You know, down through the years, we got so many comments from people that didn't have in their mind what we did when we looked at this. And people were saying, it looks like you forgot to put in a cabinet, or that's ugly. Why do you have it so hanging, just the pots hanging there? Take it down and put a picture in there.
Yeah.
Put shelves in there. This is what we've had in mind all this time. And every time we looked at it, this is what we saw because that's what was in our mind. So now that it's finally finished, I hope you can kind of get the vision a little bit. And yeah, like Elizabeth said, it ties it all together.
Yeah.
And if you remember when I was doing this, I showed you that I had a spacer problem here. I had to put a spacer there, and it's not over there. But this thing actually breaks it up even more so that you don't really notice the difference between those two.
Yeah.
Unless I pointed out to you, which I just did. But you already knew that.
Yeah, this is just not too far from completely done now.
Right. Well, the only thing left is the flooring.
Is the flooring. Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah, this is beautiful, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you as always. And yeah, I love it.
So the next video that we do for the renovation here will be the flooring, and then after that we'll do a complete tour of the kitchen and the addition laundry room renovation that we took 3 years to do.
Yeah, this whole huge project. We'll do a big tour of the whole project.
Yeah. So for some of you that have been around for a long time, you've been hanging on, waiting until we get this done.
Just like we have.
Thanks for being so patient.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is real life. This isn't a show that's set up so that we can, quickly get a bunch of stuff done because a bunch of other people do it or whatever. This is real life.
Right.
So he's got a lot of other things done in the middle of getting this whole place finished. So I'm just thrilled to death.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, live simple.
Live free. You be blessed.
All right, we love you guys. We will, of course, see you very soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.